Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to talk about the art of time control. Time control. Being a great time manager, being very efficient with your precious time so that you can get a lot done. You can accomplish a lot of things, not only for yourself, but also for other people. What could be more important than that? I think this is one of my special skills in life that I had some sort of natural talent or affinity for when I was younger, but I've never stopped working on it. I've never stopped developing that ability because I see it as super, super important. Recently, I started reading a new book about George Washington. I think a lot of you saw my review of the Grant book. Now I'm reading a book about George Washington, and I've been very excited to find out that he was a great sort of habit tracker, daily logger type guy. He kept like a diary. He was very meticulous. He was very orderly. He was very efficient, very punctual. So I was very excited to know that about George Washington, and I hope as I read that book I can learn more new hacks and tactics. But anyway, in today's video, we're going to talk about habits, flow state, batch processing, getting things done, and putting things off. These are just 5 things that I just grabbed out of the hat for us to talk about, so this is not an exhaustive list. This is not a comprehensive list. I'm sure after I finish this video I'm going to think, oh, I forgot to talk about that, I forgot to talk about that, but these are the top 5 that I pulled out that I want to talk to you for now. And if you have any comments or ideas, you want to chat further about something, leave them in the comments section down below. First one, habits, super important. It's a pretty simple thing, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but long story short, I hope that you're running some important habits on the daily. You need to know like your top 3 or your top 5. I don't care what the number is. The number is kind of an arbitrary thing, but you need to know what are your top goals in life, and you need to be working towards them daily. So know your habits. Know how habit formation actually works in the brain, because humans, psychologically, biologically, we are habit formation machines. And if you don't work to install good, challenging, meaningful habits, the body sort of reverts itself to drilling in these habits which are not so good for us, which are getting us nowhere, which are just sort of comfort zone habits, like watching our favorite TV shows or eating our favorite snacks. We get home from work, we put on that favorite TV show, we eat those favorite snacks, because the body and the mind are always setting up habits. So you need to learn how that works and become the master of the habit formation. And also you should track your habits in a visual way. I like to use a paper. I like to have it visual. I don't like to have to open up my phone and find stuff to tick off and open some habit tracking app. I've tried those. They're not really for me. I just like a piece of paper with the days of the month. I print these off month by month, and at the end of the month I do a reflection on the back. It's kind of my thing. I've been doing it for like 4 years now. But I track my daily habits, did I do them, and maybe some special notes about them, like how long did I do them, what exactly did I work on, but that's really just for interest. The main important thing is to see those psychological chains of ticks going down the whole length of the month. You're going to feel really good for having done that, and you can see the progress, you can see the evidence, you have it. A couple months ago, one of my habits is to exercise every day, and a couple months ago I got to the last day of the month and I had a really busy day. I was really tired. And I made up an excuse. I made up some rationalization in my brain that I didn't want to work out that day, and I didn't need to. I didn't have to. I don't think I even knew it was the last day of the month, really. And then the next day I picked up that habit tracker sheet and I realized that last day of the month was the only day I'd missed that month for exercise. And it was the only day I'd missed for exercise in a long, long time. And I was like, damn, if I had just seen my habit tracker, I would have done it right away, because I wouldn't want to miss that. So that really pissed me off. So the habit tracker is so motivational that way. When you never miss a day, that really is going to build up your confidence. And when you keep hitting your habits like that, one important thing is for efficiency and productivity is It's going to be building momentum. You're going to start to see momentum build. Like for you right now, I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm just assuming. But if you're watching this channel, maybe you're a younger guy, maybe you haven't been into exercise that long, maybe to do 100 or 200 push-ups today, that's going to be a big day for you. That's going to be really challenging for you. But in my life, I've been exercising for so long and I've built up so much momentum that right now in these weeks, if I don't do 300 push-ups in a day, or if I don't do 100 pull-ups and 100 push-ups and go for a jog in a day, I feel like less. I feel like I'm not achieving. And I can do that amount of exercise pretty quickly, pretty efficiently, because it's become such a well-worn habit. Okay, so habits are super important for confidence, for efficiency, for productivity, for taking away all the negotiation in your mind about what you should be doing. All right. Second, flow state, and this ties into habits. When your habits become a well-worn thing, and you don't have to think about what you're going to do today and what time you're going to do it and how long you're going to do it for, and you just get started, it's become routinized. It's going to be that much easier to get into flow state. Flow state is also a time and a space where you're going to get maximal returns on your effort and time. When you're in flow state, and it's important that there are no distractions. Distractions are the antithesis or the opposite of being in the flow state. There can't be any distractions. Those things cannot coexist. So you have no distractions. You've turned off the phone. You've put it away. There's not a lot of noise around you. You're in solitude so you can focus on your main thing. Okay, and at that point, it's going to take 10 or 15 minutes to get into flow state. Once you're in flow state, you're not going to be realizing time as it passes by. You're going to be able to do a lot of work. You're going to be able to do very deep work, productive work, creative work. Your problem-solving brain, your creative brain, your lateral thinking brain is going to be turning on. The hypofrontality is going to be turning on. Your brain waves are going to be going down into a deeper state, whatever wavelengths that is. I don't recall, but it's a real psychological thing, flow state. Humans are really meant to be there. That's when we do our best performances. That's when we do our best hunting. That's when we do our best whatever it is, or our best work. And so flow state too, if your flow state is interrupted, it takes almost the same amount of time again to get back into it. So once you're into it, don't allow yourself to be broken out of it by some silly distractions or notifications on your phone or knocks at the door. You really need to protect those hours when you're planning to be in a flow state. That's how I've gotten so much creative work done over the years. I have a full-time job. I have a family. I do daily exercise, and yet you can see my creative production, what that looks like on this channel. I've put out 6 different game lines with many different versions in terms of translations into different languages or being available in virtual, real deck, print and play formats. I've written stories. I've written these rule books. I've been, setting up the online games so people can play online. All that, the creative production. In fact, let me put it this way, really simply. Without flow state, without hours of deep solitude, there's no way I could have produced any of these games. They wouldn't be a quarter as good as they are. Okay, so that's really important, not only for creative production, but also just for deep study, deep reading, deep writing, deep reflecting. Flow state's going to be necessary. Next, batch processing. Once you understand habit formation, you have your schedule written out, you have your habits from day to day and from week to week. Something that came as a great surprise to me and was really beneficial to me in my life was the idea of batch processing certain types of tasks. So we all have a lot of sort of menial, trivial tasks leaping out at us in our day-to-day life. And a lot of people will tend to handle those things as they come up. They will allow themselves to be interrupted by the most meaningless, trivial, superficial types of tasks, which are not their top 3, their top 5, or whatever, which are not a part of their creative production or deep work. That is like a cardinal sin of a good life and a meaningful life. I mean, unless that is a requirement for your job, like you are a firefighter, literally or metaphorically, then so many of those little things which people shove over to you, or which you get a notification for, you should be avoiding those types of things. You should have the blinders on, because you have a period of time each day when you will collect all those little things together and handle them all at once. Okay, and that it shouldn't be during the first few hours of your day, especially. I mean, that when you wake up, and I recommend you get right into your high value targets and work on them until lunch. That's what I do. That's my ideal state. Wake up at 7. It's usually around 7 a.m. these days, and I usually don't have breakfast, and I just work until lunch, and I don't like to let things interrupt me. Sometimes I have sort of a mid-morning break where I handle that stuff if stuff's really busy, but I normally just like to work straight through. So maybe you can try something like that. Maybe a batch processing half hour or hour mid-morning, or if at all possible, it's better to just wait till after lunch. After you've had lunch, possibly had a power nap, then batch process those texts and those emails and all those little things. You need to save your willpower and your energy and focus for the bigger, more important things first. So that's the magic of batch processing. Now, in a similar vein as batch processing would be the art of putting things off. This is a slightly different topic. I don't mean to talk about the emails and the notifications, although that's part of it. You can put those things off. You could batch process, like if they're not urgent, you could put off replying to emails for, like you could do emails on Tuesday, Thursday every week. Nobody's going to die if they have to wait a day or two to hear back from you. So even emails and notifications are something that you could put off. But what I'm more speaking about here is errands is really what I want to talk about here. So I'll give you like a simple, silly example of, like, let's say you had a problem with your bank card and you had to make a plan, you had to make a trip to go to the bank. But it's not urgent. It's not like you can't get money out online. You've got cash at home, but it's just a silly problem with bank card or whatever. And you're going to have to make a trip in. Okay, silly errands like this, which are not super consequential, not super urgent, a person like me, I will put them off as far off as I possibly can. And this is something about me that makes my wife pretty crazy. She doesn't know how I can do this. A person like her might leave that bubbling on the back of their consciousness all the time, and it's sort of soaking up their cognitive bandwidth. It's like a constant drain or a leech. Sometimes errands like that, they'll have that effect upon me too, and if they are, I will do them right away. I won't put them off. But generally speaking, I have a sort of mind which can strategically put things off. I know how good that can be, and I can emotionally and cognitively detach from that thing and just put it off, because I know it's not a life or death thing. It's a bank card. Like, I'll handle it when I have a good opportunity to handle it, and it's going to be more efficient when it happens. I'm doing this all the time. I can't even think of other little errands right now. Silly things like maybe you've got a broken bike part and you're going to need to get your bike fixed or whatever, and you're walking instead of riding your bike. Okay, what I try to do is I put these things off until I'm going to have a chance to do more things like those all at once. So I guess it's sort of like batch processing, but normally when people say batch processing, they're talking about emails and notifications and little work tasks and things like that. But what I'm talking about now when I say putting things off is more like the bigger errands or the bigger tasks for maybe your home life, personal life, things like that, things that you would have to drive to town for, or maybe you have to take a 20-30 minute trip to handle, things like that. I would try to collect those things together, and then on one certain sunny Sunday afternoon, or who knows, Tuesday late afternoon, when the stars align, I'm like, now's the time, and I go through and I knock out all those errands at once, and then I'm coming back home, and it's like perfect. Another individual trying to solve those things that day or that moment, they would have had to make 3 separate errands out, and they would have had to interrupt their daily schedules 3 different times in those 2 weeks, where I handled it, and if I handled all of them in a few hours on one perfect afternoon. So there's an art to procrastination. Procrastination often gets a bad rap. I'm a master in terms of procrastinating. I really think about what procrastination really means and how to use it for my benefit. Now let's talk about the flip side of that coin, and that is getting things done. Not putting off to tomorrow what you can do today. You know that old saying, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. Okay, generally speaking, I do not agree with that saying, and I put things off all the time if they are not my high value targets. I'm constantly moving things off to the future and refocusing my energies on the most important things I should be doing today. I don't do just anything that I could do today because I don't want to be known as a person who puts things off. To me, that just seems ridiculous. Okay, and yet, there is a logic, and there is an important underlying philosophy to that expression. Don't put off till tomorrow what you could do today. And I think the way that I look at it, the way that I take this saying on into my life in a positive way is, I interpret it this way, I translate it this way. I can do more in a day than I think I can. And I should do more in a day than I think I can. That's what the saying means to me. So, realize that when you feel like you're tired, more often than not, it's actually because you're just weak and you haven't really built up a very hard-working life yet. Another person might find your schedule and what makes you tired to be absolutely laughable. And the reason is not because they are superhuman. It's not because you and they are so different. It's just because your habits are different. And it's just because they've been in the game of running habits and routines for longer than you, and they've been steadily adding more challenge and more work into their schedule. So a person like that starts to learn, wow, I'm really capable of doing much more in a day than I thought I could. And this is making me feel really powerful, and this is making me feel really proud. And you know what? If I keep doing more in this day, I am going to feel really tired tonight. And if you do end up, the true metric to find out if you really are tired or not is if you go home and you crash and you pass out and you go to sleep and you have no desire to watch your favorite TV shows and snack on your favorite snack foods and scroll your phone and look at social media, okay? If at the end of your day you are truly tired, then go to bed. You'll fall asleep, you'll sleep really soundly, and you'll wake up the next morning feeling so full of energy, and you'll probably wake up a bit early the next morning. That's the benefit of working hard and having a really sound sleep. Sorry for the noise, there's a street sweeper going by. I better close this window. But that's another benefit I've realized too of working really hard, is it helps me to avoid doing stupid shit at night, and it helps me to go more quickly into a sound sleep, which is going to make me feel more refreshed the next morning, which is I'm going to be able to parlay that into another day of great efficiency and great productivity. Now, this reminds me about things that we didn't even talk about today. I'm sort of being tactical today, what I was talking about, but also I'll just conclude by saying don't miss the big 3, which I often talk about, which are a healthy diet, daily exercise, and sleep hygiene. You've got to have good sleep hygiene and get good sleep. That also will play into your focus, your flow states, your ability to work hard and to be efficient. Okay, but that's it for today's video. I hope these things help. By way of summary, install your habits, get into flow state daily, learn how to batch process or put off things that can be put off, learn how to be discerning about those things, and also realize that you can get done much more in a day than you expect that you can. When your mind and your body is telling you you've done enough today, do one more thing. Get in the habit of doing just a little bit more, and strengthening yourself day in and day out. That's it for today's video. I hope this helps. I'll see you back here next time.